EA Sports. It's in the game.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Casual Master Quest, episode number 5? 4? 5. We're at 5. Man, we are at 5. We are officially Spotify approved, baby. It's just me tonight. Oh, never mind. I was just kidding. My name's Tyler. I'm going to be your host for today. And over in the corner, we have Cam. How's it going, man?
What's up, guys? Just working through that EA grind.
Oh, man, you got that dead look in your eyes, just knowing you gave up work so you could work in a different field. It's a fun day, man.
Yeah,
it's fun.
The soul's just leaving my body a little bit, but we're fine.
Most people get to see this on Monday. However, right now we are recording on June 9th, 2018, which means E3 is happening, people. However, we only got hit with the first wave of EA today. We'll be seeing more of Microsoft and then eventually stuff like Devolver and Square Enix. Of course, it continues out through the rest of the week. However, today is going to be EA only for us just because of the time constraints. And we are Casual Master Quest, the only podcast that wishes Andrew Wilson would stop looking more and more like Robbie Rotten from Lazy Town.
It's such a good comparison, honestly. I didn't even pick it up, but man.
Once I realized that was Andrew Wilson, I'm like, wait, is that not the guy who, you just give him a little extra hair volume, slick him back, give him a little cleft chin, and he's good.
Yeah.
Okay. So what have you been playing, Cam? We'll get the little stuff out of the way before we dig right into the deep.
Yeah, not too much. I've been mostly prepping for E3. I've just been playing a lot of the Pokemon card game Game Boy 2. That's Japan only release, but there's an English patch.
Game Boy 2.
Yeah, so it's the TCG like that was on Game Boy, but there's a second one in Japan only. So I'm playing an English patch of that. It puts the rocket sets in basically, so that's kind of fun doing that.
Nice.
Beyond that, I'm actually replaying two things. I'm doing a twofer of Sky-related games. I have Pokemon Mystery Dungeon, Explorers of Sky going on, as well as Legend of Heroes, Trails in the Sky first chapter. So I'm kind of doing some replay stuff right now since I have some free time, but nothing much beyond that.
How much time do you think you put into it so far?
It's really only been this week I started, so I think I put about 4 hours so far into Trails in the Sky, maybe a couple in Mystery Dungeon, and then probably 3 more in Game Boy 2, I think.
That's respectable.
Yeah, respectable, small amount.
Myself over here, I wish I could say I've been playing stuff that was new. That's not going to be true whatsoever, though. I've been playing more Pokemon Quest for some reason, because my initial and current opinions on that is it's not that great of a game.
Yeah, but it's Pokemon, so the brainwash kicks in.
Like, in my head, it's like, well, I just hit the auto button and just let it play itself while I eat my dinner or something. Problem is, though, I hit that catch point.
Yep.
The point where, like, hey, you've done your best. You're doing great. But if you want to do this for free, you're going to be sitting here for hours. However, there's a thing over here that we can give you double experience, double materials. We'll give you a lot. Oh, yeah. You want one cooking pot? You want 4 cooking pots? Yes. You can have extra batteries. So you can just keep going and going. It's only $30. And they got separate packs. You got the $3 pack, you got like the $8 pack, you got a $17.99 pack, and then you got the big kahuna $30 one. And it's like, do it. I kept telling myself, no, that's crazy talk. I said very clearly in the past couple episodes, right? Anybody that spent money on that would be crazy. So I got the $30 pack.
I was gonna say, you definitely kept to that promise, right?
I definitely decided it's like, you know what? I've put in multiple hours of this game, not playing it so much as watching it. I wanted to see where it went. Yeah, I made a mistake.
I will judge you, but only insofar as I'm definitely going to be playing this a ton when it comes to phones. So,
I mean, I totally respect people that do it. I felt immediate shame. Because I was drinking, and I don't ever make purchases while I'm drinking, because that can lead. You end up with games like a Keep a Strip on your doorstep.
There's nothing wrong with that.
I wish, I just found it like a week later. I was like, when did I order? Oh, that's when I got it.
It would have been more trouble if it was the second one, but
yeah, no kidding. But oh yeah, didn't that come out with PSP or Vita?
Vita. So Akiba's Beat is the sequel to Akiba Strip, and Akiba's Beat was really, really well worse, I would say, critically. It was Yeah.
Okay, we won't talk about that.
Yeah,
And
we
then,
won't talk about that.
so getting that, I realized now I can play it for longer periods of time. But at the same time, I realized I enjoy playing for only a half hour and then letting it sit for a day.
Right.
But now that I can play for like an hour and a half, oh gosh, like I'm seeing like the grind more and more, and I got so many other games to do grind, like Persona 4.
There you go.
I am currently like level 3 or level 4 social link with Chie, which I'm trying to make the quest. I'm trying to push hard against the voice acting. It's okay, I really appreciate her spunky kung fu movie attitude.
Yeah, she's a dork. I love it. It's great.
My only problem is though I can never seem to find her on the days I actually want to talk with her.
Yeah.
And then when I do see her, it's like, oh, you got to see the TV at midnight tonight, or otherwise you might get a game over. LOL. And she is like, hey, you want to hang out? I'm like, yeah,
great.
What's the worst that could happen?
I mean, let's be real. What's more important? Solving the string of murders. Chie.
Plus, I keep shoving food that's in my fridge that looks ominous in my mouth to raise courage. Yeah. Apparently, that's a big thing to do because it's like, this is like white sobe, but it's supposed to be red sobe. Do you want to eat it? I'm like,
shot.
And let's say,
the worst that could happen?
Not my problem anymore. Stuff it in my mouth, get courage, and now I can tell her she's more feminine. I guess that's how this works because I need kahunas to say something like that.
Yep.
Pokemon Go, I've been playing a little bit more of once again, mostly because of preparation of Let's Go Pikachu, Let's Go Eevee. I realized that gave me newfound inspiration, like everybody else. Big thing right now is for like the next couple of weeks, water Pokemon are everywhere. Have you seen anything of that before?
Yeah. I've just been basically opening it up a couple times a day, just catching a few things, doing a little bit of walking. And they're kind of just recycling the events from last year because there was the rock event before this, and then we're having the water event again, which is totally fine by me. I'm glad to have some different spawns every once in a while. So I've just been, working on it relatively. I never mentioned Pokemon Go, but I'm always playing it in the background. I log in every day. So, it's just kind of going.
No, it's okay. I caught a couple of, is it Kyogre? I
always did Kyogre, but I might be longer.
Okay, I can work with that. Is it Groudon or Groudon?
I've seen Groudon.
Okay, fair enough. I caught a couple of those today. I was very happy about that because I didn't get Latios from the last thing. I just didn't get a chance, but got that. Got a bunch of Pokemon. I'm happy. Fiance is very happy. Oh yeah, we got 2 more weeks before I'm officially married, so can't wait for that, babe. Oh yeah,
congratulations. Nice. No, that's going to be a fun one.
That's it for the games that we played, unless you got something else you want to bring up, because I know the big talk it's going to be here.
It's on the mind. We got to get to it. It's
we are not going to do, well, technically we're going to be doing news. We're going to be doing the topic of the show, which is E3 EA. Here we go. Initial impressions when you first watched it. Like, I'd say first 5 minutes. How did you feel about it? What was the vibe in your head?
First 5 minutes, I knew it was going to be weird. I knew it was going to be really weird because I saw something that I really didn't expect to see in terms of, basically put this way, right? So EA generally will spend a lot of times on their individual games, and they'll really focus in on them and spend a lot of time on their sports games. So the first thing they went right to was Battlefield 5. However, they didn't show anything new of it. They didn't show any new gameplay. They didn't show any extended gameplay trailer or anything. And from that point, I knew it was going to be pretty weird because usually, considering Battlefield 5 is very big for them, they'd be focusing on that. So they referenced the fact that Microsoft was going to be showing it at their conference. So it seems Microsoft paid for the marketing rights for it, basically. Ooh. So I knew it was going to be a little bit weird once it got to that. And of course, 6 minutes into E3, and we get a Battle Royale announcement. So there's that.
Oh, as well. The Battle Royale for a Battlefield V.
Yeah.
Can I call it V, or do I have to call it Battlefield 5?
You can do whatever you want, man.
I was gonna say, it's my life. But yeah, Battle Royale. They said it was going to be Royale reimagined. So
yeah, I'm sure.
Very, much, very kindly saying, Battle Royale. Congrats. You're going to do what Lawbreakers could not, and make a decent. Oh, what was the game that came out after Lawbreakers?
Radical Heights.
Radical Heights.
Yep.
They're going to pretty much incorporate their spirit right there. Yeah, they announced. I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 games that listed here, plus probably a couple of knickknacks here and there. Your usual EA Sport games. The first one I want to mention is Unravel 2. Did you see that?
Oh, yeah, I saw that. I was actually, I think, among what EA had, because overall, my feeling was very poor conference. But overall, for what they had, I think how they handled Unravel 2 and what they showed and everything regarding it was actually the best that they did there. Because in terms of announcement, what you want to see is you want details of the game. You want to see what's unique about it. You want to show some gameplay. And then you want to have concrete release, basically. So the release date was today, which was a very good idea, honestly, for a game like that. We
no
saw
kidding.
gameplay. It's co-op. We saw all the unique mechanics in it. So in terms of how an announcement goes, like, very good job there. And Unravel's a charming game in the first place. So, good stuff there overall. Thumbs up for that one.
I take it you played it then?
So I never actually played the original Unraveled, but I was following it pretty closely because we found it when it came on stage, I think a couple years ago. The guy went up there with the little puppet and he was like shaking and he was very nervous. It was really endearing, actually. So we followed him closely and we wished him well. So I was happy that, he's put out 2 games now. So
I do enjoy what it felt like a bit of a BioShock intro there to how everything was going, stuck in the ocean next to this mysterious island. And this also brings up, I never really talked about this before, but I did mention it with you earlier. They teamed up, to do a gameplay demo, but it honestly felt like everything was completely scripted to a T, maybe to the point of it being completely pre-recorded.
Yeah, so 90%, I'd say about 90% of conferences when they do that sort of game, it is pre-recorded, and you can generally tell like very easily because there'll be some like quirky commentary on top of it. That's kind of like here we go, watch out, I'm pinned down by this over here, come help me out.
Oh no, I'm in trouble. What can I do?
So I couldn't really tell if this one was pre-recorded or not, but they do that like 90% of the time.
It did show them messing with a debug menu at the very beginning there to get us to the right area. So maybe, it could be extra convincing, like, oh no, we're actually playing this right here.
Yeah, if there's anyone I did trust to play it would be those guys and those devs, though. So
and it was nice because, in fact, they were saying, oh, you can play it single player, and you really could. Because for those who don't know, Unravel 2, it's about a little yarn man who apparently got screwed over, lost his spark or his life power. I don't know what it is specifically. Get onto an island, finds a second yarn, and they fuse together, become linked by their own yarn, and now it turns into a co-op puzzle adventure game. And honestly, it gave me a lot of Little Big Planet vibes with the way things were handling, except, they had grappling hooks essentially. And the idea, to be able to run across they showed us a level where we were trying to escape some kind of turkey.
Yeah. One thing actually I really liked about it was when you see the fact that the 2 characters are tethered together, I actually thought like rope wise that was going to be a burden, but it kind of turned out actually to be something as an advantage because
they made it very long too. Yeah,
it kind of just lengthens whenever it wants to, so you can use it as a mechanic rather than like something that's restricting you, because you can use it to like one of your friends stands on a ledge and you swing across and then you do the same thing, vice versa, and that sort of thing. So it was actually relatively neat in how they handled the being tethered together there.
The way they are able to climb their own ropes too, so like it felt like you could get screwed over real easily if you got hanging from the edge with a ominous looking giant turkey dreadwing behemoth trying to eat your soul. But no, as long as you got one guy that has solid platforming, the other person can go up and they can keep moving. Plus the way they can bounce around across the walls, almost Mario style, I guess you could say.
Yeah, there was wall jumping. There was some
a lot of wahoos. So we got that. That's Unravel 2. Next one I would like to talk about is Sea of Solitude.
Okay, yeah. This was weird because generally when you're presenting a concept of a game, especially if there's nothing to base it off of, so it's a new game and they're presenting you the concept. We had this idea that it's very emotion-based. There's a lot of loneliness being involved here. You have to balance your emotions, but they never really showed what type of game it was. There was some 3D adventure / maybe platformer looking stuff, but it's very important for games like that when you're showing off the first thing and there's no IP behind it, to explain what type of game it is. So we have the concept, we have the setting, but we don't have what are we doing? How do we do this? How do we balance our emotions? So mixed there, I would say.
To me, the idea is if you are confident with your game, you will be forthright and direct with what it can do and what it is able to, give you. If you are not that confident of the game, you try to sound as mysterious as all heck. And honestly, I felt like they held out details in ways, like, there's a lot of weird things going on over here as this lady, that's cloaked in this very, very garish nightmare look attire is, going around in this canoe-like thing, sailing this mysterious waterway. And there's monsters and stuff. What the game is about? Ominous music.
Balance those emotions, though. Yeah.
And, they introduced having, I didn't catch the name of the lady. I believe it was a German company that was trying to pitch this.
It was something May. It was something Mai. Joe Mai. That was it. It was JO-MEI.
And it was interesting because I'm not sure how often she's been in front of a crowd like that, but she was incredibly nervous.
Yep. And the same thing for the Unravel guy the first time he revealed his game. And that's just, the EA. And of course, there's one other, of course, with this EA Origins is the label where they take basically indie games, give them funding, and, they publish them and developers get some backing, which, it's scary to be under EA because they'll often sink your studio. But for these indies, it's actually been working out very well. And they're all honestly relatively good games every time. A Way Out by Joseph Fares, who was at the Game Awards doing the flick off thing, that big story, that was also EA Originals. So,
nice.
He wasn't so nervous on stage as he was like, get him off stage because he's dangerous. But yeah,
this is bad PR. Get him out of here.
Right. They're always, it's always probably their first time, first or second time on stage. So they don't really know how to handle that. And it can come off as endearing, but sometimes you also want to get information for the game, so it makes it difficult.
Okay, yeah. Jedi Fallen Order. I did not actually get to see this one.
No, nobody did. That's the best part. So
wait, so there wasn't actual like a trailer or anything for it, or
this was the weirdest single announcement I've ever seen at an E3 in my life. Because what happened is they just cut to the audience, and the presenter was sitting next to one of the guys from Respawn. And Respawn are the guys who made Titanfall, and just sit next to him. And she's like, "Yeah, so you got anything to announce?" He's like, "Yeah, we're making a game. It's called Jedi Fallen Order. It's coming out holiday 2019. It's during Order 66, so hunting Jedi and all that." And they're like, all right, cool. They didn't show anything. There was no trailer. There was no images. There was nothing. They just talked about it, which is so bizarre because even like Metroid, when Nintendo did the logo thing,
they showed animated logo.
Yeah. And to have a release date, to have a name, to have a concept and have nothing else, that's really, really baffling to me, because you'd think that if you're at the point where you have a concrete release date for holiday 2019, you probably have some part of the game finished, I would assume. Like
a picture or something. So you tell me that it was Respawn that's in charge of this?
Yeah, Respawn's in charge of this. So
okay, so people who are probably hanging on this small glimmer of hope that is Titanfall 3, that small cliche crowd, they instead hear what could probably only amount to like 2 or 3 small sentences during one of the biggest video game conferences in the world for this year, and all they get to offer for what they're working on is, Jedi Fallen Order. No, there's no pictures. Should we say
put actually
on the wall? No,
don't. There's some conspiracy actually regarding Respawn, because Respawn was bought out by EA relatively recently, and there was some controversy that EA might have had a hand. It's a conspiracy, but EA may have had a hand in making it so that Titanfall 2 didn't do so well by targeting the release date for a time when a lot of other stuff was coming out. Well, because consider this, right? Titanfall was their franchise. If they happen to sabotage or not do too well, they could then put them in a position where it's easier to buy them out and then easier to make them work on things they want them to work on. So in terms of a business, let's just say this, as the publisher, they decided to put Titanfall 2 at a very contentious release date that had it in conflict with many other things that made it not sell as well as it would have otherwise. So,
oh man, you saying it like that, it makes me think about it's like, oh man, like Respawn was getting a lot of flack when the team was part of Infinity Ward back over on Activision's side. Just imagine them crawling over, they got their pride on their sleeves and whatnot, and EA's like, join the EA partner program. We'll make you who you are.
Yep.
They do pretty good with Titanfall. Then Titanfall 2, EA's like, actually, you know what? You could make us some money.
Yeah. Well, honestly, to piggyback off this news, just a couple weeks ago, maybe about a month ago, there was news that I think 2 of the major players in Respawn actually jumped ship back to Infinity Ward. Right around all this. So something happened. I'm guaranteed something weird is going on there. But it was really bizarre because for such a big announcement, like a new Star Wars game that's not Battlefront, that's what everybody wants. Not necessarily from EA, but that's what everybody wants. And to relegate that to like a dude in the audience just announcing it off cuff is really, really bizarre. I don't know.
No kidding.
I have no idea.
Speaking of Star Wars, they did make some slight mentions over to Battlefront 2, a couple of extra modes here and there. Absolutely nothing I'm interested in. If you have stuff that you want to talk about it, go right ahead. Yeah,
just really quick. They're adding Clone Wars, something that should have been in there from the start. They're adding heroes and villains: Obi-Wan, Anakin, Grievous, Dooku. And it was funny though, because this was again the case, and this is for the entire conference too for EA, where they failed to show gameplay in so many cases where they would just have looping footage of old stuff, and it almost makes you wonder, like, Are you guys like in trouble? Like, what's going on back there? And the thing we theorized actually on my other projects is that EA had a bigger hit than we thought when it came to Battlefront 2 and how that affected them, loot box wise, and that monetization wise, they actually, all of these games that are coming out, they had systems in that they can't show off because they need to rework now, and so they didn't have much to show because they're in a troubled position. Because even from Battlefront, they talked about the hunt mode, they talked about these new stuff, talked about a new spaceship, capital ship fighting mode too, but they didn't show any of it. There's nothing, no footage or anything. So it's really suspect. I'm really suspicious of what's going on over there.
It almost feels like a lackluster version of what we usually expect from Microsoft. As you pointed out, they usually make big promises that sometimes they fail to upkeep. And now it's like, we'll do this. We swear. We're sorry about loot boxes. I'll give you this DLC. I'll give you this DLC. I'll give you Respawn. Say Jedi Fallen Order.
Say Jedi Fallen Order.
It's going to be here next holiday.
It also makes me wonder too, Jedi Fallen Order, that title suggests it might be one of the Jedi games, like Jedi Outcast, Jedi Academy, one of the ones with Kyle Katarn, like they used to make back in the day. And I'm like, it could be Jedi Fallen Order could follow that naming convention. So, it might be a Jedi game. I don't know.
I would dig Jedi Fallen Kingdom. I'll connect the Fallen Kingdom of the Arachnids and World of Warcraft lore. I'll take that.
Yeah.
Jedis must explore the fallen, care space of spider kingdoms. Anyways, this is probably there's a big one at the end I want to say, but Command and Conquer Rivals.
All right. This is the big issue. So the thing here that really got me was, first things first, I didn't even know this was Command and Conquer until they said the name, which was the scariest part. But they brought up a mobile game. They brought up shoutcasters to go ahead and commentate on a 1v1 mobile game battle for an RTS. That seemed to have a very low skill ceiling, mind you. So we're sitting there watching E3, and they're in a mobile game playing competitively with casters on stage. And I'm just sitting there kind of like, who's this for? Why are we seeing this right now? What are you thinking? Like, what's going on? And then at the end, almost like a mockery, they reveal it's Command and Conquer, which, the last real Command and Conquer game, I believe, came out in like 2010. That wasn't like a browser game
or something like that, I think.
No, I think it was, it was like Tiberium Alliance, I think. Command and Conquer 4.
So we're talking like Red. Oh, okay.
Yeah, I think it was 2010, because past that, there was like a mobile game, and then what's it called, browser game or something like that.
Are you suggesting that EA turned this into a cash cow of some sort?
Oh yeah, wow. But it was
Big
so
surprise,
scary.
huh?
It was so scary too, because the lack of self-awareness too. And this was something that blew up on Twitter. But some dude basically posted "Wake me up if Command and Conquer comes back," and they quoted that and gave alarm clocks like "Wake up, it's back," and everyone was like, "No, we said bring it back, don't slaughter it." Like, it just it made waves. It was going everywhere. It was the most lack of self-aware tweet I've ever seen. It was crazy. But that's very unfortunate for Command and Conquer as a series. RTS players have it rough.
Oh yeah, I was watching this through the Giant Bomb stream. I decided, watching it by itself, honestly, it felt like eating a bland steak without any kind of flavoring to it. So give me some ketchup or something. And one of them is watching it, as soon as it starts, and the guy's like, okay, so this is a game that's really simple, and is the battle strategy rock, paper, scissors? And the guy's like, another person's like, congratulations, you just discovered how these games are won. Plus, they get to cover 2 spots and they win twice. And meanwhile, it's like, wow, this game's actually really simple, but it just has heavy graphics. And I'm just here, oh my gosh, that guy just took the second pace. The timer's going to come up. Are they going to be able to stop the nuke? No, he doesn't.
And that's the thing, right? Is like the shoutcasters. It's an unfortunate term, because I really hate the term, but they're called shoutcasters. They're the video game commenters and stuff. They hype things up, and like they did a good job for what they were working with. But like the fact that they even had to work with it is weird.
It would have been great if they're just standing like over the chairs and everything, looking over the shoulders while they're just screaming to the guy's ears, like, "Oh man, he's gonna push the 5 motorcycle button. Oh my goodness, that is." Wait, but yes, then they dropped the trailer afterwards about 2 people like looking and grinning at each other.
Cinematic, yeah. I would say it's a troubled conference when the most gameplay you see out of the entire conference is a mobile game.
And the girl is all smirking, hits a button, sandworm.
Sandworm.
It's like, I want a sandworm. And then of course at the end they drop Baldy. I don't remember his actual name, but I believe he is from Command and Conquer or Conquer. Specifically,
he looks familiar.
And, it's like all the way to tie it in because we're not going to have any celebrities cover the voice lines for this, apparently. So, yeah, Command and Conquer Rivals. What do you think?
It's out today. I think I feel bad for every Command and Conquer fan right now.
Really?
That's what I think.
Honestly, I didn't think there would be that many still. Like you think they would have fizzled out or went to like the Division or something like that.
You never leave. Well,
maybe not the Division, but like Civilization or something like that.
Yeah, that's the tough thing too. Is like these days, RTS is kind of a dying genre. There's not too much left. MOBA took a lot of that away, sure. And so the thing is that this is the unfortunate thing because in terms of a gap where there could have been something good, if EA really put themselves to the grind here and made a real Command and Conquer game, everyone would love it because there's not much to work with. Like it's basically an open market right now for the enthusiasts who still like that sort of thing. But instead, they decided to go for the casual angle, and we'll see how that plays out. Regardless, it's an unfortunate decision as a core gamer, I feel.
If it's a free game, did they say if it is a free game?
They didn't say anything about price, so I don't know.
They did say something about like no loot box. Yes, they were Mr. Andrew Wilson himself came up to the stage and he was like, "No, sir, there will not be any way that people can buy and give themselves unfair advantages." And he looks to the side. I swear, this might not be true. He looks to the side and he looks at a calendar and he says, shows how many days it's been since he had to cancel the loot boxes. It's been 7 months since he had to cancel loot boxes from Battlefront 2.
Yep. Well, it's the thing where this is the crazy part, right? It's like, yeah, okay, cool. You're backing off loot boxes now when it was made illegal in parts of Europe specifically because of you. You know what I mean? Like the only reason why they're backing away is because it's friggin' illegal in Europe now. So like it's going to be illegal more of Europe as time goes on, I feel. But they're backing out because they have to. They don't have a choice now.
So what you're saying is if Europe and other parts of the country and whatnot decided to not mess with that, do you think that loot boxes still would have been a thing?
Yeah, definitely. They would have pushed forward. They probably still are. I saw a great article a couple weeks back that I commented on where EA said despite the rulings of recent, smaller governments in Europe, we will be moving forward with our monetization plans. And it's like, you're going to go to war over this, really?
Yeah, better start sending some soldiers down from Command and Conquer Rivals and start blasting their 2 health land yards, whatever the heck those things are, those armory things that have 2 freaking health. That's what freaks me out. It's like you get 2 shots to shoot at nuke at your opponent, and all it takes is to stand, like there's 3 tiles. Yep. If you get 2 of them covered, you're good.
And that's the thing too. It's like with a game like this, a mobile game where it's like this low of a skill ceiling, there's going to be a meta. There's going to be a way to do it that develops in the first week. And if you're not doing it that way, you're going to lose because that's what happens with simple games. So it's going to be pointless pretty much.
What do you think is going to be harder, this game or Clash Royale?
Oh boy, see, the problem is I don't know enough about Clash Royale because I stay away from
Clash
that
Royale.
I stay away from that stuff. So,
all right, fair enough. Honestly, do you plan on giving this thing a shot?
God no.
Okay.
Nope.
Okay.
Won't even give him a download, even if it's free.
I mean, I said the same thing about Pokemon Quest, but Nintendo gave a quick tug on the hook that was in my ear. I'm like, okay, fine, just take the money.
Yep.
Oh man. Okay, so the big game I would like to think of EA that came out for E3 this year. It's been talked about so many different times, but we have not really seen all that much. Last year they gave us a good tidbit of some light gameplay footage, but nothing too crazy, just seconds.
Yep.
This time around we got to see a slightly larger chunk of the game called Anthem.
Yeah, it was really weird too, because in terms of new gameplay, we saw more new gameplay last year than we did this year because a lot of it was recycled footage from this year where they just looped it in the background. And this was another thing with Anthem. And the really weird thing about EA this year that was very confusing is they oftentimes, the problem with EA is they'll tell rather than show. So rather than showing you something, they'll tell you how cool it is. But they didn't do either in this case. They just kind of gave cinematic trailers. It was great with Anthem. At least they did flesh out how it works in terms of when you're in the city, it's a single player game with story and characters and that sort of BioWare character interaction stuff everyone loves. But when you're outside, it's multiplayer mission based. However, in terms of, they kind of just loop things in the background while the devs talked about it on stage. And then they showed like a minute and a half of new gameplay. So even for Anthem, even for their big game, it was pretty lacking in terms of what they showed off.
What is the name of, I'm trying to remember, Casey something,
Casey Hudson. Yeah.
Casey Hudson. He's an interesting character.
He is, yeah.
I thought you would have a little bit more flavor to him, but maybe he was nervous. Maybe he was trying to remain stoic during the interview, if you want to call it that, which was interesting that they did a mock interview on the spot. And they're like, we are going to reach out to you, the fans. We're going to ask questions and we got answers. Let's go to these cherry picked questions on Twitter.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Characters have customizations. Casey Hudson's like, yes, let me show you 5 seconds of customization. Wow, this game that we knew had customization, in fact, does have customization.
Ridiculous. Yeah, it was, first off, it's weird to have a Q&A during your E3 conference. Second off,
how it used to be back in the day. You could actually ask questions from the crowd.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, back in the day when it was like, I guess if we're talking way back in the day, right? When it was truly a trade show, when it was like,
we're talking like 10, 15 years ago at least.
Yeah. Then it was like, you had a projector screen in a room with, 50 people, 50 journalists from all the different organizations. And you just get it down. It's a different show now. It's all about the hype these days. But it was a very bizarre thing to do. And I wish we got more of Anthem, considering that was their big thing. And the scary thing is their release date now is for February, I believe, 22nd for 2019. And this is actually, I believe, the same week that Crackdown 3 just got delayed to. So now they're going to be competing with each other.
No, Crackdown 3. What is the publisher? Ubisoft?
So Crackdown 3 is Microsoft. That's one of their first party games. It was announced in 2014. It's been delayed like 3 times. It's vaporware at this point. We don't actually know if it's coming out.
That's fair enough. I did find it interesting that when they decided to finish with this Fu interview thing, the lady there in charge of this conversation's like, I know you guys want this. Do you want some gameplay footage? Just the way she said it, it was so like hand and fist, like everybody's like, yeah.
There was a couple times with weird stuff like that. I know one in particular was when they brought that trophy up. Oh, this was a good part. When they brought the trophy up when they were talking about FIFA and they had the World Cup trophy on stage, I totally pinned this one point where the guy didn't get the response he was expecting. And so he just pulled something out of his butt, basically, where it was right after he finished all the announcements and he was expecting applause and then it didn't happen. And so he just he shoot in a transition sentence that definitely wasn't in the script because he didn't get any sort of, applause from it. I was looking at it. I was like, oh yeah, that was off cuff right there. 100% because he didn't get the big, claps.
I do appreciate that they tried getting a couple of influencers in like that for the World Madden Virtual Champion.
That was so weird. A lot of weird stuff too, because that was, I think, one of the most out of touch segments, I think, because it wasn't even Madden 19, because the Madden 19 trailer came afterwards and they didn't talk about it at all. They just moved on. But that was Madden 18 champion. They bring on stage to talk about how it was to be the champion and his life. And again, I was sitting there like, why are you doing this on the E3 stage? What does this gain for anybody? Like, what is talking to the champion of last year's game doing for anyone, really?
Inspired I don't know. Yeah. I couldn't tell you. Like, they're gonna, 2 people are trying to talk mad heat to each other. It didn't work. One guy, I think he wasn't supposed to actually touch the belt, but he said, screw it, I'm gonna just take this and see what happens. And he just walks away. Like, he already just gave a very sad story. Like, oh man, I took a hit to my body. I can't actually play football anymore. So the closest I can do is play in, EA's Madden 2018. And now I hate losing more than I love winning. And now I'm the champion. And, they had some weird choppy shots at each other. Like, hey, now if you want to be the champion of Madden 2019, you just gotta get beat up in high school so you can't play actual football. Like Dragon Ball Z couldn't come up with worse villain lines.
Yeah, the second the champion came on stage, I think the first thing he said was like, "Are you ready to get whooped again?" And it's like,
you sure you want me to smack you on camera again? It's like, okay, whatever.
It falls flat, but.
Back to Anthem, they did give us some actual footage. I have heard so much of this game. I've never seen it before. Immediate thoughts, is this Destiny?
Yeah, it's definitely trying to take some of it. And one thing that somebody put out that I really, really liked was, and this is, assuming the worst, but somebody was like, Warframe should put out a really big content patch right around the release date of Anthem just to grab everybody who, doesn't like it when it inevitably messes something up, which is a good idea for the Warframe devs, honestly. Like, definitely go for it. But I'm actually more excited for Anthem than I should be, given like what I usually like in my station and that sort of thing. Because I really like that flying system. I think it looks really cool.
It bugs me to no end because, of course, like I said, listening to Giant Bomb, they're like, man, that flying style looks pretty cool. And I'm like, I'm looking at the spots where gas is being flamed out of this character's body.
Mm-hmm.
I immediately recognize this as what it looks like in Dead Space 3 when Isaac is flying around in his space suit. It looks just like it. I'm like, no.
They expanded on the Andromeda jetpack too, actually, from Mass Effect Andromeda. Is the part of that feels like that too. I like the flying. It feels fun. It looks fun. Nothing
really nice with that.
Yeah.
It looks open as all heck.
Yeah.
So, the flying is going to, necessary. I really I wonder if I could fly so hard I just smash into the side of the mountain and immediately die.
That'd be a good thing to try. We should just see a gameplay demo. I hope there's demos there at E3 on the floor so they can just fly right into a wall and see what happens.
Because they did everything nice and friendly and smooth and whatnot. But of course, they're going to do that for E3. I want to see a little bit behind the curtains. Show me what's really going to happen if I play. If I go straight into the water, am I going to do some weird ragdoll flip to where I get to an upright position? Am I gonna crash into the ground? I got to pick myself up out of the water. I don't know. A lot of numbers coming out of characters too.
Yeah, big numbers. The one thing that we were commenting on was that the damage numbers that they were showing were not high number in terms of count, but the number graphic was big on screen. It was very, very big numbers that they were shooting at you, almost as big as the half of the character model's head and upper body. So I was like, ooh, that's some aggressive numbering system you have there. Look, it's an RPG.
Sometimes
guys.
You don't need to see the enemies. You just needed to see the numbers.
Yeah.
It did freak me out that the numbering was static, how they're shooting it. I kept seeing 750s in a row. I'm it's weird because you think there would be some kind of variation, but then they started doing stuff like combo. I'm like,
we laughed when 10 combos popped up at once. That was pretty funny.
Combo.
So I noticed this, right? They showed, there's 4 classes, or at least 4 types of, I forget what the name of the suit they use is called, but there's 4 types of them. They only explained 2 of them. They didn't actually explain the functions of the other 2. One thing I did notice is that one that's really slim to the body looks just like it's just Iron Man. It has the shoulder rockets and stuff.
Storm or something. No, Storm had a cape system to it.
Yeah, no, it wasn't Storm. It was just the looked like the basic model almost, where it was really close to the body. It was a very form-fitting suit, and it just had the shoulder rocket pop-up thing, and it looked just like how it was handling and stuff. I'm like, oh look, it's the Iron Man game.
Oh boy, oh boy, man, that is my catchphrase when I get nervous because I don't know how to respond to that one.
Yeah, oh boy.
Do you think they could possibly do a DLC where they just make it red and gold?
You might see us. Honestly, you can color it, right? So these people are going to do it. So
yeah, I'm gonna say if we let them do it, what's the problem with that?
Yeah.
So
yeah,
yes, as you said, they have it slated whatever, February 22nd, 2019. It looks like an interesting game that we need to get a whole lot more information about.
Yeah, we do,
because that is 8 months away.
Yeah, and the thing that I worry about too is, this was the problem with Mass Effect Andromeda, where they did the same sort of thing where they teased it for so long without showing anything substantial. And then when it did come out, of course, it was broken. So the worry now is is this a broken mess behind all the polish and veneer? We don't know. We're hoping to see more, hope to get demos. So that's not the case, but yeah.
Oh man! Speaking of Bethesda, I know this is way in the future. With their recent, not recent, but more recent than ever, the idea that they don't have to share everything if they don't want to, and they still think that. I guess the big example was Doom. They didn't share any review copies for the most part to people, and they didn't want people talking about it. But they're like, oh, it still came out and it made gangbusters. So surely, if I keep doing stuff like this with every other game and keep pressing the dark. I don't know how that's going to respond to E3. I didn't see them last year, so.
Yeah. I don't know. The whole thing with review copies, whether you give them out or not, I think it really depends on genre. There's some genres where it's probably more beneficial to give out review copies early. And then there's some where it's not. I think anything with very, very deep gameplay mechanics, anything it takes a while to learn, you want to get it out early. So fighting games, for example, definitely fighting games a month early. Send those out a ton early so people can really learn them if you're confident in the system, of course, because it depends on how confident the developers are and the publishers are. But
if this is the 8th rendition of Street Fighter 4 Battle Royale edition, then no, they don't need to share anything. They can just give it day one and let the masses eat it up. 100 Ryus fall on the island.
Yep.
They have to Hadouken each other. There's no weaponry. Is there anything in general that you want to talk about this EA's E3 performance here?
Yeah, just overall, very bizarre that even with their sports games, the weirdest thing I thought, and I've said, I think a lot of things have been the weirdest thing, but it's all been very surreal because even the sports games, they didn't talk about them really. They showed a cinematic trailer. And they never do that. They always go they bring someone on stage. They talk about all the systems in it.
Well, what about the world champion Madden virtual player?
That was the thing. Yeah, they did it for FIFA, but then they didn't do it for NBA Live 19 or Madden. Madden was the weirdest one because Madden, they just had the trailer and nothing. And they moved on. And it was like, whew, like where'd it go? And it's very surprising they're not focusing on sports, especially when they don't have much else. So overall, the presentation,
they just made it quick.
Yeah, because usually they have a segment for it. Overall, very surreal presentation. Not a fan. I gave it like a D+.
A D+. Wow, I didn't even think of a grading system. I didn't want to say in the very beginning of this podcast, that way people actually stayed and listened. Felt really lackluster.
Yeah, no, definitely.
And I always thought that E3 could offer a nice heavy start, but that doesn't necessarily mean anything if you pick the wrong company the company chooses.
The company chooses. Yeah, EA generally goes first, and it's kind of at this point a get it out of the way thing. They've had a couple good years, but this was not one of them. I'll say that much. Right. But we're starting off tomorrow with Microsoft. And like I said, I think I mentioned that's actually my most anticipated conference because I'm really interested to see as the underdog, as a wild card, what they're going to do. And there's been a lot of weird rumors floating around that it's going to be pretty big. So I'm looking forward to some exciting stuff. We could potentially see a new Gears and a new Halo at the same time is what might be happening. So
do you think, I'm going to say with I shouldn't say with any certainty because I know nothing about statistics. Yeah. If I don't see Microsoft,
don't need something else.
Yeah, put the pen away, please. I don't know where that Laylee is. I think it's still clogging the toilet system. Yeah. I really think that they're going to announce both of those. I just feel like they need to announce one more thing that's a little bit left field, kind of weird, but people might like it. Maybe Vive Pinata or something like that.
Yeah, Viva Pinata.
Or maybe Banjo-Kazooie.
I say the win, right? The victory. How Microsoft can do their best is if you come out there and if you show off, because they want to do more with Japanese publishers. So if you come out there, you show off some Japanese games, couple things that you pulled into your court, maybe a near port, that sort of thing. You show off a new Fable game, new Forza Horizon, Halo, and Gears. That puts you in a really strong position. You can pad it out with new indies. You can pad it out with one other weird thing, maybe just another new experimental project. That makes for a really good conference. That makes for really good announcements, really strong base. Throw some mixer in there, throw some more quality of life stuff, and Microsoft's in a really good position hype-wise. And they've been doing very well with it. So let's see that they can bring it home.
That is very true. We will be talking a little bit more about Microsoft and their selection going on Sunday. However, if you want a good, closer, more direct taste of that action, you can hear it from Cam here over at his podcast. Name it away, brother.
All right. So it's Into the Video Game, and that's at intothevideogame.libsyn.com or on every podcast host that you can imagine. What's it called? Yeah. So what we're doing basically for E3, we put out a mini episode after every conference, every major conference. So I'm halfway through EAing. I'm halfway through editing our EA one. That's E3 going up tonight. Yep. That's going up tonight. And then, of course, after Microsoft, after Ubisoft, after bada boom, bada bing, we're not sleeping. So it's getting out there, and that's where you can hear that.
This is the city where no people sleep. They cannot sleep. The lights stay on. There's no light switch. You can email us at casualmasterquest@gmail.com or hit us up on Twitter at MasterQuestPod. All podcasts and gaming can be found on our YouTube channel, which we'll link on our Twitter. We will be doing some podcasting of our own over on Casual Master Quest side. People are focusing on their own things. They have their own lives. We got our own stuff that we need to do. However, hopefully sometime Monday night, Tuesday morning, we should have some more coverage going on for Microsoft and Square Enix with Nick and myself. And then hopefully another midweek theme covering Sony and Nintendo lightly by both myself and my best friend, Brandon. Previous podcast member of a different podcast group, but he's a little rusty. I'll get him back in shape though. Yeah, and then of course, next week we'll definitely all team up together, and we are probably going to talk a lot.
Yeah, we will.
Like we thought it was going to be this week. No, that's not possible. There's so much more.
Yeah, look forward to that.
Yeah, no kidding. You can find me at 2 times Tyler. You can find Nick at LR Warrior 11. He's not here because, life happens, man. Don't worry, though. You'll be here later in the week, and then obviously for the next big show. Cam? You
can find me over at Cam Collects on Twitter. I also do a couple streams on Twitch every week, but I'm taking this, of course, E3 week off because I'm going to be working through it pretty much. But yeah, so doing some streaming on Twitch. That's Monday nights at 7, Friday afternoon at 4, and that's Eastern Standard Time.
Ladies and gentlemen, that is E3 for EA in the can. We're going to have a lot more coming your way, but don't worry, we got you covered, baby. For now, that's going to be Casual Master Quest episode number 5, and don't forget to never stop the grind.